Have you ever wondered why your cat is urinating on your laundry? Or why your dog is digging up everything in the yard and trying to escape? Or maybe they're chewing on things that they shouldn't? Or maybe they're having accidents in the house? Or maybe your cat is vomiting more than usual or hiding? Lots of bad behaviors that you're noticing could be due to stress. It's Mental Health Month, and I know that we use May for human mental health, but veterinarian here. And so I am as concerned with your pet's mental health as well as your mental health. And the reason why I want to use this opportunity to talk about pet mental health is because sometimes their stress can cause increased stress in our world and vice versa. Our stress can cause them to have increased stress as well. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what causes stress in dogs and cats. We're going to talk about the signs of stress so that you know whether your pet is stressed out or not. And then most importantly, we're going to talk about solutions on how to help your pet be less stressed. This video is for educational purposes only and is not designed to substitute your local veterinarian. So take that with a grain of salt and let's get into it. All right, my friends, let's talk about mental health for pets because remember, a lot of times their mental health can actually result, if they're not having good mental health, it can result in bad behaviors and actual medical conditions. There are problems that pets can experience with their health, just like people, that are related to their mental health and their levels of stress. So this is important not only for their well-being, but also for your well-being and also for your pocketbook as well, because a lot of times people end up in veterinary offices with stress-related disorders for their pets. So let's get into it. What causes stress in our dogs and cats? Well, there are a lot of things. So dogs and cats like routine. They like knowing what to expect. They like to know when they're going to be fed, how much they're going to be fed. They like to know when they're going to be walked. They like to know when playtime is. If you've ever seen your dog staring at you when it's time to go for a walk or time for dinner, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. These animals prefer to have routine in their world. It's just part of their wiring. And so if you have a lot of disruptions in your routine or a lot of changes to your routine, that can cause stress in some dogs and cats. Boredom is a huge stressor for our indoor pet population and even for some of our outdoor pets as well. Boredom causes stress. You don't think about that a bored dog or cat can be stressed, but then when you see what they do because they're bored, maybe you can relate it to stress then. So things that are boring for cats, being stuck inside a house all day with nothing to do. Also boring for dogs. If they aren't able to get out and exercise and get fresh air and see different things, the same thing goes on in their head as it does in ours oftentimes. And if you think about it, think about where they used to come from, where their ancestors were. Their ancestors were out doing things. So boredom can be a source of stress for cats and dogs and can result in bad behaviors and medical conditions. Inability to engage in natural behaviors. So I am talking scratching, digging, chewing, things like that. If you are not letting your cat engage in scratching behavior, that can cause a lot of stress. Scratching is a necessary natural behavior for cats. It helps keep their claws healthy. It helps keep their paws healthy. It helps actually keep their whole back musculature healthy because they really stretch out and they really need to be able to stretch and scratch. Dogs, chewing on things is a natural behavior for dogs. This is how they explore their world. And it can actually, chewing can release feel-good chemicals in their little doggo brains that help them to feel happier and more relaxed. And if they're not able to chew for any number of reasons, that can cause stress. Digging. Some dog breeds, such as several different terrier breeds, are actually bred to dig. And if they're not able to do this, it can cause stress. Herding behavior in such border collies. If they're not able to herd, then it can develop into stress, which can cause stress-related problems. Visitors can be stressful for some pets, especially cats. Cats are cliquish. They don't like new people. They don't like new pets. They don't like anybody who's not in their clan. And so it can be, and that not all cats, but a lot of cats. And so it can be very stressful if you have human or pet visitors to your house. And so I'm thinking about a barbecue I went to last year where no one really noticed that the dogs were stressed. There was a bunch of people that gathered, and they're all dog people, and they are all dog people that love dogs that need a little bit of extra help. And so they thought it was a good idea to bring them all together for us all to drink and then just let everybody go haywire. And I was sitting over here going, side eye, veterinary professional here. This is not a good idea. And some of the dogs got into fights. Some of the dogs got stuck in fences. And I was noticing all sorts of signs of stress that these animals were putting out that the humans just weren't noticing. And the humans thought they were doing a great thing, bringing themselves together, bringing the pets together, but they weren't knowledgeable about the signs of stress or what can happen when you throw a bunch of animals together at a barbecue. Also, these dogs were picking up a bunch of things that they shouldn't be eating, so I'm not surprised if there was some diarrhea and vomiting the next day. Lack of exercise. This can be really stressful for a lot of pets, cats and dogs included. Healthy animals need to move. They need it so that they release the feel-good chemicals in their brain and so that they're healthy. So lack of exercise, not getting daily exercise enough every day. How much is enough? It depends on the pet. For some pets, it's a 30-minute casual walk. For other pets, such as your high-energy border collies or Labradors, it's an hour to 2 hours of active running, herding, agility, fly ball, whatever. It just depends on the pet. Here's one that you don't think of, holiday decorations. So we in the veterinary industry see stress-related disorders skyrocket during the holiday season. There's lots of reasons for that, but one of them can be holiday decorations, especially for cats. Dogs, it's hit or miss, but a lot of times for cats, you bring these strange things into their world, and it can be exciting for them, but it can also be stressful for them. So something else to be mindful of. Traveling, whether you are traveling and leaving them alone or you're traveling and taking them, both of those can cause significant stress in a lot of animals. So if you are traveling either with your pet or without, it's really important to be proactive before so that you're not just leaving your pet alone and suddenly they don't know what's going on. Suddenly you come back and everything's chewed up, or there's vomiting all over, or somebody's urinated someplace they shouldn't have. All of those things are signs of stress. Okay. So your stress, my friends, did you know that your pets can pick up on your stress and then reflect it back to you? Yes, it's true. So where I saw this most was in the veterinary industry, because pets would come into the veterinary office and it's scary. Veterinary offices are just scary to most pets. And then the client would be really stressed out as well because their pet wasn't behaving, because the pet was stressed, right? And then the pet would pick up that the owner was also stressed, and then the pet would become more stressed, and then the client would become stressed, and it was this vicious cycle. And I also wrote an article several years ago about feline interstitial cystitis. That's a very fancy word for saying inflammation in a cat's urinary bladder due to stress. And we talked about the reasons, but one of the reasons was owner stress. And I remember somebody wrote me afterwards and was like, thank you so much for telling me this. I did not know how my stress was impacting my cat. I have managed my stress. I've made some changes in the household, and boom, my cat is no longer having litter box problems. How crazy is that, friends? And guess what? A lot of times, managing your own stress is free. So you don't have to go into the veterinary hospital and get the inflammatory medications and get the testing and blah, 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 blah. So managing your stress is also very important. Then there's grooming and veterinary visits. So some dogs love veterinary visits. Some dogs love grooming visits. Some dogs get really stressed at both. So my dog never minded the veterinary hospital, even though she was a test subject for many things. She spent so much time there that it was not a big deal for her. But going to the groomer, on the other hand, was stressful for her. And I remember I would drop her off and then I'd pick her up at the end of the day. And she would have diarrhea the next day because she had been stressed at the groomer. So those can also be very stressful. And then for some animals, loud noises such as thunderstorms or fireworks can be very scary. Very, very scary. Those are called noise phobias. And those are really frustrating. I had a dog when I was in vet school that had a noise phobia. And whenever she would hear either fireworks or thunderstorms, thunder, she would lose her mind. Her eyes would dilate, she would pant, she'd drool, she'd hide. If we weren't around, she would destroy everything. She chewed through fences, she dug under fences, she chewed out of a chain link kennel, she chewed through our drywall. It was terrible. It was not a good quality of life for her, and she was terrified. So if that's you, if any of this describes anything going on in your life, you're probably going, oh my God, what do I do? Okay, so stay calm. The first thing you do is stay calm, right? So we want to be able to notice not only what causes stress in pets, but also the signs of stress. Because how do you know if your pet is stressed? Well, sometimes they'll give a lot of behaviors off that will give you hints that things are not as well as they should be. So here's a couple of pictures of dogs that are stressed. We have the Chihuahua up in the left-hand corner yawning. So yawning is a sign that pets are trying to regulate their nervous system. And I will see dogs yawn to give calming signals to other dogs, but I'll also see them yawn when they're just stressed. I see a lot of yawning in the veterinary clinic. I see a lot of yawning when at the dog park. I see yawning at the groomers. I see yawning anytime dogs are stressed because they're trying to calm themselves and others around them. Licking their lips. So we have the little dog in the upper right-hand corner sitting what looks to be in a veterinary hospital, and you see that they're kind of hunched over and licking their lips. And this is because this is another sign of stress. So lip licking is a sign of submission. It's a sign of stress. It's also a sign of nausea. So if you notice that your dog's licking their lips in the car, could be they have some motion sickness, which, by the way, can also cause stress. So lip licking. And then we have this guy down in the lower left-hand corner who's giving the criminal bombastic side eye to all these what looks to be children who are petting them. And what makes me sad about this picture is this dog is clearly uncomfortable. This dog is clearly submissive and not wanting to do the right thing. But when you see the whites of a dog's eye, if they're giving you the side eye, and especially if they're kind of hunching down, they're stressed and they're scared. And there should have been an adult in this group that noticed that this dog was giving signals that they were stressed and kindly asked the children to stop petting the dog and instead give treats to everybody and let them get down on the dog's level, hold the treat out and let the dog approach you. This is how dog bites happen when we as humans are not aware of the myriad of signs that our dogs are giving us that they're stressed. So it's up to us to be able to recognize their language and speak it and understand what they're trying to tell us, because most dogs will give these signals before they bite, even before they growl. So you need to watch for the subtle signals so that you can avoid dog bites or any other problems. And then we have this cute little red dog sitting on a pile of fluff. And I included this picture because this dog isn't looking guilty. This dog is looking scared to me. And this dog may have chewed up all of these couch cushions because they're stressed. So destructive behavior is usually a sign of stress in dogs and cats. Next, in cats, signs of stress in cats. So cats, they can do the typical growling, they can do the typical swatting, hissing. Most of those things let you know that that cat is not happy, and most people are pretty good at noticing those. What people are not as good at noticing is the more subtle behaviors. And again, this is all about raising awareness so that you can prevent problems. That's what I want for you. So the black cat has very dilated eyes. The black part of their eye, the pupil, is very large. And this is probably because the cat is really scared. So when we get scared, our pupils dilate so that we can take in more light and more information so we can protect ourselves. Also, this cat is making itself into a little loaf of bread, right? So it's got its legs curled under, it's trying to make itself small and low because it's protecting its vital organs because it is scared. And then the tabby, the white and brown tabby down below him, is giving the classic airplane kitty, what I call an airplane kitty. So when cats get mad, the ears go flat out and they make an airplane kitty. That is an unhappy cat. That cat is stressed. And then one of the biggest misconceptions, hopefully it's getting better, but one of the biggest misconceptions is that cats are having urinary problems. So they're not using their litter box, or they are using their litter box, but they're urinating or defecating someplace else. Pet owners tend to think one of two things. One, the cat has a urinary tract infection. Two, the cat is spiteful and doing it out of spite. Okay, so I can debunk both of those. Sometimes it is a urinary tract infection, but not as often as you think. And cats do not behave spitefully. As much as we want to anthropomorphize these animals, they are felines. They are not humans. And their brains think a little bit different. They have urinary problems because they are stressed often. Remember how I said the terms feline interstitial cystitis? Basically, that means stress causes these cats to have inflammation in their bladder wall that causes problems with just urination that can mimic the signs of urinary tract infection. Stressed cats also will often stop using their litter box, and they'll choose your laundry or the bath mat or your bed or your sheets or the corner instead to do their business. By the way, I didn't include this in the list of things that can stress animals out, but a dirty litter box, or a litter box that is in a location or a type of substrate, or maybe there's too many cats using the litter box, or maybe they don't like the hood. Litter box preferences. If the box isn't how the cat likes it, then that can stress the cat out, and then the cat will go do their business someplace else in your house. True story. So in general, when it comes to litter box problems, I am jumping into solutions a little early, but I just want to cover this now. You need to have one more box than number of cats. So if you have one cat, you need 2 boxes. If you have 2 cats, you need 3 boxes. They need to be in a warm, but not too hot, quiet, low traffic area. A lot of people like to put litter boxes in next to the washer and dryer, or next to the furnace. For some cats, they don't care. Other cats, they just don't like it. I had some friends that had a cat that insisted on using their bathtub as a toilet. And I said, I don't know if the cat likes to have the box right next to the furnace. They didn't move the box. Cat continued to have problems. Then the cat became an outdoor cat. So you need to understand that cats who don't like their litter box, who are feeling crowded, or it's too dirty, or will stop using it. So make sure to keep it cleaned, remove feces daily. 1 inch of litter, fine, sandy, clumping litter, not scented, not pretty, not anything fancy, just fine, sandy, clumping litter. That's what most cats prefer. And it needs to be clean. They also don't often like the hoods because when they are urinating, defecating, they are in a vulnerable spot, and their ancestral instinctual brain will think, I need to see everywhere around me. But if they're in a hooded box, they can't see everywhere around them. They also want to be able to escape in many different ways. But if they're in a hooded box, they can't do that. So they don't like that, right? And they may tell you by urinating on your bed. So you want to make sure that it's low traffic, warm, quiet, clean, plain box, plain litter that clumps and is sandy. Okay, let's talk about our signs of stress. Here we go. Number one, litter box issues or accidents in the house. Okay, this is how your pet is talking to you. Destructive behavior, scratching, chewing, digging, ripping things up. So one interesting story, I had a golden doodle named Oma, and she was the light of my life. And she never destroyed anything ever. But one day I had to go to a surgeon to get information on a knee surgery that I was going to have. And I was very stressed. I was very stressed. And I came home and I I read through the material, and then I just set it down on the fireplace mantle and was going to go look at it later. Well, lo and behold, my dog picks up on my stress. She takes that folder, and remember, she never tears up anything, and she tears it to shreds. And then she sits next to it and looks at me because she thinks that she solved my stress, because she sensed my stress as I was reading that. Isn't that a crazy story? So, destructive behavior, sign of stress. Disrupted sleep patterns could be a sign of a medical issue, could also be a sign of stress. Changes in appetite, either increased or decreased, again, could be signs of a medical condition, could be signs of stress. Vomiting, diarrhea, digestive issues, often a medical issue, but sometimes stress. I've seen cats that will have stress. I see dogs and cats, but a lot of dogs that after they're boarded will develop stress-related diarrhea all the time. Cats, when they are stressed, it impacts their immune system. And most of these cats have been exposed to upper respiratory viruses when they're very young. Their immune system, when they're happy and healthy, can keep it all in control. But if they're stressed, then you may see sneezing, you may see watery eyes, you may see red eyes, you may see signs of an upper respiratory infection flaring up because they're stressed, so their immune system goes down. Ignoring commands. This one is a big one, especially at veterinary hospitals. I saw it over and over and over for 16 years. A normally well-trained pet becomes stressed out in a veterinary hospital and then suddenly forgets how to sit. And I remember the clients sitting there going, sit, sit, sit. Well, I just don't know what's happening. Sit, right? And the dog's just ignoring them because the dog is stressed and cannot perform the behaviors under stress. So if your dog is ignoring your commands, especially in a stressful situation like a party or veterinary hospital or grooming, stress. Hyperactivity. Dogs that are normally really chill, suddenly super hyperactive. You might think they're having fun. They're usually stressed. Yawning is a big sign of stress, as I already showed you with the picture of the Chihuahua. Also side eye. If you're seeing a side eye, the whites of their eyes. And then also, of course, there's other obvious ones like crouching, tail down, hackles raised, growling. Those are all signs that cats and dogs are stressed. Here's some more signs. If your dog or cat is hiding. So I used to have a lot of like really small patients when I was in veterinary clinic, and they would be hiding their little face or whatever inside their owner's jacket because they're stressed. Aggression can be a sign of stress. It's often a sign of stress. Excessive grooming. So in cats, they can actually lick themselves bald because they're stressed. And dogs can lick themselves. They don't typically lick themselves bald, but they can create a raised red, sometimes oozing bump, usually on their front legs. And this is called acrolick granuloma or acrolick dermatitis. And this can be due to several reasons, but one of them is that the dog is stressed and bored. My dog, she used to lick the carpet because it would just help her brain feel better. She was kind of neurotic. So she had the habit of licking the carpet. And at first I didn't think that was a big deal, but then it was a big deal because she developed a giant carpet hairball in her stomach. So excessive sleeping. So if your pet is sleeping is more than they used to, could be a sign of stress, could be a medical condition. Excessive sleeping can also be a sign of pain, which chronic pain from dental disease or joint disease or skin disease can also cause stress, right? Panting or shaking. So if your dog is panting more than the usual, or they're shaking, they're trembling, definitely sign that they're stressed and scared. Clingy behavior, also excessive shedding. This happened all the time at the veterinary hospital. Pet would come in, they'd be scared, they would actually shed everywhere, and then they'd leave half of their hair in the exam room on their way out. And the owner was like, they don't normally shed this much. And I'm like, it's because they're stressed. Okay, so now you know what can cause stress in pets, and you know the signs of stress, or you're starting to. Let's talk about the most important thing, which is solutions. We want to learn how to reduce stress. So keep your regular routine, be consistent as possible. Provide your pet with a safe, quiet area to rest, especially if you're having visitors over. Make sure that they have a place to get away and that they have something to keep them busy when they're in there. Regular exercise and playtime. Avoid stressful situations as much as possible. For dogs, we want long-lasting chews. Cats need to have ample scratching opportunities, both vertical and horizontal. Utilize calming aids and utilize stress probiotics. I also included in this list, not written down, but we'll talk about it, is environmental enrichment. There's a video on TikTok that's super funny to me, and it's a human like crawling into their bed and covering themselves up, and the caption is, I'm going into my enclosure to experience some enrichment. And our cats and dogs need the same thing. So let's talk about feline enrichment first. Feline enrichment is all about giving them things to do and providing additional opportunities for vertical climbing. So in this picture, we have a couple of different options. We have your classic cat tree. This is the Ware cat tree. It's got a kitty cave for hiding and a cradle for just sleeping and hanging out. We have this awesome Haas Panther scratch pole that you can actually stick under your table so you don't see it. It's got sisal rope. What I like, it's nice and tall so the cat can reach up and just scratch all the way down. There's also a little ball for some fun. Sisal rope is a wonderful substrate for scratching. And then we have this over here. This is a no-bowl feeder. And I love this particular brand. I apologize, I don't have the particular brand, but if you Google no bowl feeder, no bowl, BOWL feeder, this will be the first thing that comes up. And it's these little mice that you stuff with kibble, and then you hide them around your house so your cat can hunt them. It's brilliant. Here's another one of my favorite products. This is the Omelette Freestyle Cat Tree, which is a build your own cat tree, fully customizable, that goes from floor to ceiling. It's beautiful, it's aesthetic, and it's amazing for cats. You can even put plants in it safe plants that they can chew on. It's amazing, love it. For dogs, canine enrichment. So I included a couple things. Dogs love lick mats. That's the Rough Day Petco lick mat here. You just cover that in canned dog food or some peanut butter and just let them go to town while they're licking. This is a Paw 5 snuffle mat. I love snuffle mats because it gives them opportunity to use their nose. Dogs need to use their nose and sniff every day. You need to provide your dog with ample 15 to 30 minutes of sniffing time every single day. And just let them sniff, because their nose, the neurons in their nose go straight up to their brain and stimulate different parts of their brain. So snuffle mats are great because you can hide things in them and let them just look for them. I used to play Find It with my dog. I trained her to look for things around the house, and she would stay in a room, and then I'd hide stuff, and then I'd say, find it. And she'd run around, she'd find all the things, and she had the best time. Some people create a digging area in their yard specifically for their pet, for their dog to dig in, especially if their dog really loves to dig, and they'll hide fun things in that digging area. This is really great, especially if your dog loves to dig. And then long-lasting chews. You want to choose a chew that is safe and long-lasting. Bully sticks are fairly safe. This is a Ross Taylor Big Bully Stick because I find they don't last long enough. I want them to be chewing for 15 to 20 minutes. I also included the Kong. The Kong is a great toy. You can get them anywhere. Notice how it's hollow in the middle. You can stuff it with all kinds of delicious things. I used to stuff it with canned food and a couple treats sticking out the side, put it in the freezer, let it freeze, take it out. It would take my dog an hour to go through it. Also, food puzzles are a wonderful way for your dog to have enrichment as well. And then if your dog is the nervous type, or if your cat is the nervous type, then you need to look into calming aids. There's a lot of options over the counter, and it's not one size fits all. Some work for some animals, others work for other animals. Sometimes you have to use a combination. There's a little bit of trial and error when using what products that you will be effective for your pet. So on this page, I have the Dig in Your Dog Super Snouts dog supplement, which are CBD hemp chews. Those are helpful for some dogs. Then we have the Progility Max Calming Treat, which is a bacon flavored soft chew that has L-theanine in it, along with several other ingredients, including calming probiotics. Over here is Feel Away. Feel Away is a classic. It's a feline pheromone spray that you use. It either comes in a spray or it comes in a diffuser, it comes in wipes, and it's wonderful. Most veterinary hospitals will use it. It just helps cats feel calm. Most cats, not all cats, but most cats. So it's also a wonderful thing to use in your household to help them stay calm. Here's a couple of veterinary products that I have recommended and used for my clients. Angzitane is L-theanine chewable tablets, and it's L-theanine again. Zilkine is a milk protein that is good for dogs, and it can help with all of these different situations: new baby, vet's visits, home alone, fireworks, traveling. Wonderful products, very, very safe, available over the counter or through your veterinarian. Wonderful options to try. And then Elvet, as far as CBD products go, I like Elvet the best because they have a ton of research that shows their products actually work. They have a calm and comfort product, and I love Elvet. I think they're the bomb.com and definitely work for calming. And then there's some calming aids that you don't feed your pet. These are some higher tech things. We have our classic Thunder shirt, which works like a weighted vest, and it helps provide calming by just giving that cozy feeling to your pet. Calmer Canine, a CC loop anxiety treatment device, utilizes EMF, uses different waves, wave therapy. Might sound a little woo-woo, but it actually works. And so these are some higher tech devices that you can also use for calming. And then probiotics. We know now that a lot of our mood and mood disorders are due to digestive flora imbalances. And so we're starting to explore more and more how probiotics can help some of our anxious pets feel calmer. I am most familiar with the Purina ProPlan Veterinary Calming Care. So wonderful. And then there's also Vet's Best. There's this calming aid chew that I already showed to you earlier. But probiotics are really the best if you start them way before the anxious event. So for example, for my clients that have dogs that get diarrhea while they're boarding or grooming, I say start this probiotic several days before you go. Give them the probiotic the entire time they're boarding and continue it afterwards, because they take time to have an effect. It's not going to have, most of these things I've showed you so far are not really going to have an effect if your dog is already panicked. If your dog's already panicked, we need to talk about something else. But if you're trying to prevent it in the first place, which I'm all about, these are the products that you go to. And then also reducing stress in your pets. So remember, veterinary visits and grooming can be really stressful for pets. So Fear Free is a wonderful initiative that people can utilize. Veterinary professionals and pet professionals can become trained in low stress handling techniques, fear-free practice. So what this means is that they utilize techniques to help your animal feel calm, confident, and happy while you're at the veterinary hospital, or while they're at the groomer, or any other pet-specific places. It's a wonderful thing. So if you're looking for a veterinarian, ask them if they are fear-free certified or if they use low stress handling techniques. Try all of this stuff, or if you're just at a dead end and you really need some more help, talk to your veterinarian, because sometimes we need to get prescription medication on board while you're doing the other things. You're making the environmental modifications, you're getting your pet more exercise, you're managing any sources of chronic pain. Sometimes you need a little help in the interim. So that's where your veterinary professional and prescription medications can really come in handy. They can also give you behavioral advice, training advice. They can point you in the direction of a certified behaviorist. Lots of options. So if your dog is experiencing stress and anxiety, or you're worried about it in any way, talk to your veterinarian. So that's all I have on stress. I've given you guys a lot to think about. You've learned about what causes stress. You've learned about the signs of stress. And then we've talked about lots of solutions. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Please let me know in the comment section if it's been helpful. Let me know if there's other things you'd like me to cover. And if you like getting veterinary advice from me, your small animal veterinarian, like and subscribe to this channel, and I will be back with more pet health advice for you soon.